Hey guys, Louis here from thelanguagescientist.com, and in this video I'm going to do a JapanesePod 101 review. If you want to use JapanesePod 101, you probably have a few questions before you actually start using it, and I'm going to answer all of these questions. Namely, is JapanesePod 101 actually a legit website? And if so, what makes it special? What is the unique value proposition compared with other apps and other sites to learn Japanese? Can't you just use like free resources as opposed to using JapanesePod 101? Are you going to become conversationally fluent using JapanesePod 101? And if so, what is sort of the timeline? What should you expect in terms of like time investment? And finally, how do you get the best price possible for JapanesePod 101? I'm going to answer all of these questions, and I'll talk about my own experience of using JapanesePod 101 and becoming conversationally fluent using JapanesePod 101. So first of all, I want to answer the question of, is JapanesePod 101 legit? I think it's a legitimate question because I used to be sort of skeptical of JapanesePod 101 because, you know, the advertising, the way they show themselves like on YouTube, on, you know, the ads and stuff, it's very aggressive. It's very like pushy. It's like, hey, create a free account, give us your email address, come on and click here and so on. And so I used to be pretty skeptical of that, but you know, after years of actually using JapanesePod 101, I can tell you that it's one of the most comprehensive sites for learning Japanese. So it's just like the appearance, like all the advertising, the marketing is pretty aggressive, but it's really one of the best resources in terms of like quantity and really density of resources. I'll talk about that a little bit later. So now I want to touch on very shortly, before I give you my own experience on using JapanesePod 101, I want to talk about how do you get the best price possible for JapanesePod 101. So the first thing to know is that JapanesePod 101 actually runs this system of discounts. So depending on where you access the website from and when you access it, you may or may not have a pretty significant discount applied. I'm going to go on the pricing page here, compare plans, and usually here, okay, there you go. So this is the pricing plan here, the pricing page without any discount applied. So the basic plan is $4, premium is $10, premium plus is $23. It may change over time, but if you're going to get this, you're going to be paying full price, right? No discount applied, which is not ideal because they actually have these pretty big discounts that you can get. So what you can do is actually, I have a link in the description of this video that is going to lead you, I believe, to the pricing page with a discount applied. So click on this link and see how much discount you have with the link applied. So I'm going to talk more about the pricing plans later, but that's all I wanted to say for now. So now let me talk about my own experience using JapanesePod 101. JapanesePod 101 was very helpful for me when I got started in terms of like getting a lot of listening and a lot of reading in, a lot of input, because, you know, if I had to actually start over, because, you know, I actually used a bunch of resources apart from JapanesePod 101. I used, you know, obviously Anki, I used Assimil, I used FluentU, I used, a bunch of other stuff, Duolingo. But if I had to get one single resource to get from beginner to advanced, if I had to just stick with one, then it would probably be JapanesePod 101, because it's very complete and it has the most resources compared with the other websites. And I'm going to show you the lessons here, the lesson library, just so you can understand what I mean. JapanesePod 101 has many levels here. As you can see, I'm on upper intermediate here, but you have from absolute beginner, beginner, intermediate, upper intermediate, advanced, and bonus. Bonus, I think I've never actually taken a look at that, but you have 5 levels from absolute beginner to advanced. Each level has hundreds of lessons, comprehensive, takes a long time to actually go through them. And so there is basically everything that you're going to need to go from beginner to advanced. I've also recommended in the past Rocket Japanese, which is pretty good. I'll also include a link in the description if you want to check it out. Rocket Japanese, I think, is very, very good as well. It's more like organized in a linear way in terms of like the grammar and the vocabulary and stuff. It has more interactive activities, but in terms of like the amount of resources, the amount of listening that you're going to do, the amount of reading that you're going to do, Japanese Pod 101 is just hands down the winner. Like on the internet, that's it. They have the most listening and the most reading that you can do. If you want to listen to hours and hours of native speakers, like native Japanese speakers speaking in Japanese at the right level, beginner, intermediate, advanced, Japanese Pod 101 has you covered. You never have to look anywhere else. So, if in terms of like what you should expect in terms of time investment and results, I would say that in my opinion, I used other resources as well. But if I had to make an educated guess, I would say that if you use Japanese Pod 101 for an hour a day, and keep in mind, it's not all going to be, just sitting down and studying, like the lessons here. It's going to be a lot of listening as well, because Japanese Pod 101, right? It's Japanese Podcast 101. You can do a lot of listening. So if you do it for an hour a day, you can expect, in my opinion, to have basic conversations in about 6 months, approximately, and then have good conversations in about a year, and then have fluent conversations in about 2 years. That's my honest estimate. And keep in mind, you can do 2 hours a day if you want to speed up the results. But all of this is going to be facilitated by the fact that the lessons all have a like 15 to 25 minute audio dialogue. I'm going to show you right now. Let me click on the lesson here. Let me choose a good one. Okay, I'm going to click on that one. This is actually a section. All right, I'm going to click on this lesson, and just to show you what the typical lesson looks like, this is the page for the lesson. And by the way, there is there's the app as well, so you can actually listen to the lessons offline. You have a big play button here, and I don't have the premium plan right now, so it doesn't have all the notes and all the transcripts and so on, but it should be below. You can also download the MP3 file for offline listening if that's your thing. But yeah, that's a big play button here. You can play it, and it's a 15 to 25 minute audio dialogue with usually 2 native Japanese speakers having a conversation, plus a host who is going to be describing what's happening to you in English. And the more advanced you get, the less English you will need, and the less English you will get. It will be pretty much 95% in Japanese. All right, so what is the main value proposition of Japanese Pod 101? What makes it different from other sites and other apps, and can't you just use free resources? So the main value proposition, as I said, for Japanese Pod 101 is immersion. That is, reading and listening. So that immersion, that is, just reading and listening a lot is very important, because basically it just works, right? You need to really read a lot and listen a lot so you can actually start producing the language. But doing so in Japanese is very hard, because most content is either going to be too easy. If you get like the basic textbooks, it's going to be very easy stuff, and you're very quickly going to overgrow those learning resources. So then what do? Well, a lot of people, they're going to start watching, Japanese dramas or, anime, stuff like that. But that's for native speakers most of the time, right? So there is a real gap between like the easy stuff and the hard stuff. In between, there is stuff like light novels and easier sort of mangas that you can read. But overall, there's kind of a gap here where most people who learn Japanese, they overgrow that beginner stage, and they find themselves in this sort of gap zone where there's not enough resources to actually start really making a lot of progress. And so Japanese Pod 101 has actually all of the content that you need to fill this gap, this intermediate to lower advanced gap. So you start with a textbook if you want, or you can just go on Japanese Pod 101 right away. And then you do Japanese Pod 101, it takes you all the way to an advanced level, and then you can start consuming like anime and stuff like that comfortably. You can do it before if you want, but don't expect to actually learn a lot or understand a lot. It's just like native level, right? So there are thousands of lessons on Japanese Pod 101 at the right level, with thousands of hours of audio recorded with native Japanese speakers, plus transcripts. You have I'm going to show you a lesson. I actually showed you. I've actually already showed you the lesson, so you've seen it. But you will get like the the characters, the kanji writing, plus you will get the English translation. You will get the Romaji version. You will get the kana, so hiragana and katakana, and so you get all of those transcripts. In terms of number of lessons, if you count absolutely all of the lessons, I've estimated that for the 5 levels, you get like thousands of lessons. So for absolute beginner, there's about 1,600 plus lessons. For the beginner level, there is about 1,600 lessons as well. Intermediate level is 900 plus lessons. Upper intermediate is 600 plus lessons, and advanced is 630 plus lessons. And then you have about 1,500 plus bonus lessons. And so you're going to be able to do immersion at any level. So now let me talk about pricing in more detail. So I'm going to go on the pricing page, and once again I have a link in the description so you can get a discount for Japanese Pod 101. So whatever I'm showing you right now, you can actually get it for less. So there are 3 membership levels. So the first one is basic, then you have premium, and then you have premium plus. So it's $4, $10, $23 monthly. So my opinion here, the best plan, right? Basic is going to be too basic because it doesn't have all of the line by line audio features. You will not get the flashcard system. That's mainly, I mean, there are a bunch of other stuff that you're not going to get, but for me, that's really the big problems. Is like you don't get line by line audio where you can actually record yourself. Compare your pronunciation with that of a native speaker. You don't get the flashcards. So it's pretty basic. You're going to get stuck pretty easily in terms of like working with the dialogues. The premium plan is the one I would recommend. This is the one I had all along. I think this is the one that most people get. I'm not really sure. But yeah, you get access to all of the features, pretty much all of the main features of Japanese Pod 101. Premium Plus is going to be a lot more expensive, but to me, the thing that you get in addition to Premium, so you get all of the features in Premium, plus you get access to what they call one-on-one learning. So you actually get access to a teacher. Now, you need to understand that it's not like you have like lessons on Zoom or stuff like that, right? It's going to be, you get access to a teacher via chat. So that teacher, you can actually access that teacher on the Japanese Pod 101 website, and you can chat with that teacher, asking questions. That teacher is going to give you a syllabus, sort of, okay, you're lacking in this area, so take a look at this lesson, take a look at this and that, do these exercises, do these assessments, and so on. They're also going to help you with the writing and the pronunciation practice. They can send you recording, you can send them recordings, and so on. So I personally, I don't find this, I mean, this is not really for me. I never got this in the past, but if this is something that you would find helpful, then by all means go for it. But just keep in mind that you're going to pay a lot more money than if you actually just got the premium subscription. All right, so that's basically it for this video. And once again, there's a link in the description if you want to get a discount, the best price possible for JapanesePod101.com. And that's basically it. I hope that you liked this video, and if so, leave me a comment in the comment section. See you next time.